morning, dear viewers, and welcome to the Mid Morning Show. This is a Farmers Media where we connect, learn, and grow. My name is Regina Ayanai.
And my name is Mary Oswero.
Yeah, today we have a very interesting topic, but again, welcome to this amazing show. This is a Farmers Media. This is the mid-morning show, the one and only show that takes us to the deep world of understanding what really fuels our farms. Our topic of today is very interesting. It is climate resilient crop adaptation. We are going to talk about how this climate affects crop. We are going to talk about crops, how they thrive in these different types of climates. So, what do we understand by climate resilient crops? But before we even continue with this topic, if Mary has anything else to say, maybe she can.
I think just still encourage you to follow us on our social media platforms. We are still live on Facebook at Farmers Media, on YouTube at Farmers Media, on Twitter at Farmers with the Z_media, and click on our website www.afarmers.com. And also please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow our Facebook page.
Make sure that you are tuned in wherever you are. Make sure you are sending in questions, comments, and if you feel that you don't understand anything that you are going to talk about today, then you are free to ask us. And if we don't know or if we don't understand about that, we'll be able to call the expert.
Actually, I feel good being on this seat, being a co-host.
Yeah, today you're going to change the role.
Yeah,
I'm the host.
I'm so happy to be on this seat. At least leo pia mimi feel how it feels to be a co-host. I've been hosting a lot.
Yeah.
Now, I feel so relaxed, by the way, compared to when I'm here. I feel so relaxed when I'm on this other side of the table.
Yeah, we all know that. Welcome back, Mary.
Thank
The
you.
first morning I was alone. I was alone and I felt so bored because I missed Mary so much. Let's welcome Mary again.
Hey, thank you. Okay, I used to wake up for the breakfast show where I just realized that waking up so early is not easy. You need to get into the studio and psych yourself up. I used to get here. I have a very bad voice, but I used to sing. Psych up ndio nifanye breakfast. So it was not easy, but I'm so excited that I'm back to the mid-morning show.
Yeah, and you're welcome. You're so excited
Thank you.
Back to our show.
Yes, and I'm back as a co-host on the first day. It feels nice.
Yeah. So guys, make sure you're tuning in because you're about to learn a lot from this session.
Yeah.
So we're talking about climate resilient crop adaptation. We know that adapting to changing weather patterns and ensuring food security amid climate variability requires the development of climate resilient crops. And here is a brief of the topic of what we're going to talk about. One of them is, what are climate resilient crops? I know most of you are still asking yourselves, what are these crops? When you hear climate, of course you know what climate is, but we are also going to tell you the difference between climate and weather. So what are climate? What are resilient crops? What do they mean? So, climate resilient crops are plant varieties developed to thrive under changed climatic conditions, especially those that are less favorable. You know, these crops can tolerate conditions like prolonged droughts, high salinity, and flooding. You find that you decide what type of crop am I going to plant? Is it going to help me in any way? Is it going to help me in this drought prone areas? So you have to select this type of crop to ensure that they are preventing you from drought, they are preventing you from floods, to ensure that you are still moving on with your farming activities despite of other challenges.
Actually, it's so funny that there are crops that can survive drought and even survive floods. When I look at the situation for floods, you see the way water just comes and sweeps all the crops away. Now there are now crops that can survive in that condition.
Yeah, just imagine. Just tell me that you are from that area that are mainly affected by drought. For example, Samburu, it is a semi-arid area and we experience drought most of the time. You find that a lot of farmers in that area are not planting most of the crops because they are afraid of being affected by these droughts. But let me tell you, if they think of something like climate resilient crops and try to find a way of planting them in that area, you can't tell me that they are not going to continue with farming.
Have you seen any crop in your place that has survived drought?
Yeah, I've seen. Like, for example, I can give an example of acacia trees.
Oh.
Acacia trees can survive drought. They are very resilient towards drought. And also you find that cactus plants are mainly growing in arid areas. These cactus plants, they don't consume a lot of water. So during drought season, you find that they are still surviving that particular area without even being watered or doing anything. Even if there is no water completely for like 6 months, you'll always find cactus plants still growing.
Let me ask you something. Here we are in Kajiado County, right? Is this place a semi-arid area? Because you'll realize that when we are going home, there are always some cactus like next to the path that we normally follow. I normally wonder why those cactus are always there.
You know, cactus are very resilient types of crops because they store water on their stems.
Oh.
Yeah, so when they store water in this, they have a lot of water inside them. So this water can last them over decades. Like, it is very hard to find a cactus plant dying.
Oh.
Yeah, even acacia trees, they grow. There are so many in our area, and they are mostly found in semi-arid and arid regions.
And also in places that suffer from floods. Let me talk about Budalangi. At least I come from those sides, so I know there are always floods in Budalangi and also a place called Kano. In such places, you realize that most farmers plant rice. I believe that I feel that rice can survive under the floody conditions now, because they mostly need so much water, and when the floods come, that is the water that the rice needs.
Yeah, that's another type of crop, resilient crop. So this kind of crops can also survive high salinity, whereby they are able to absorb anything that is affecting the plant's growth. So when they survive that, they are able to continue growing despite of all these challenges. So that is why we are going today to educate farmers on crop resilient crops, because it won't only benefit you as a farmer, but it will also benefit others around you. If you hear something that is of help to you, then go and educate another farmer outside there, tell them about this climate resilient crop adaptation.
Yes, so such crops, the climate resilient crops, there are ways that they are developed. We have traditional breeding, we have genetic engineering, we have genome editing, we have bioinformatics and market assisted selection. So I'm going to break them down into pieces, into smaller bits, so that we get to understand how they are developed. So let's start with the traditional breeding. So crossbreeding crops, the process just crossbreeding crops to combine desirable traits. For example, crossbreeding a drought tolerant variety with a high yielding one. Like let's take an example of do we say rice? No, rice. There's no way you can combine rice with any other type. Let me just talk about maybe a mango, because I've seen mangoes being breeded. Now, maybe you can take a mango tree that is a high yielding one. Then you breed it with another type of crop that is climate resilient. At the end of the day, they'll bring out one product. So that one product, definitely, it will now come out as a crop that is resilient to these climatic conditions like drought or even flood. So that crop that as a result, that is out as a result of the breeding, can survive maybe in drought or even in flood areas.
Yeah, I think I also have some type of crops that can survive drought. For example, maize. Drought-tolerant maize varieties have been developed to produce yields even under water stress condition. You see, so if you tell me that you can plant maize during drought, then there is a way that you can survive drought. And also there is millet and sorghum.
I think not all types of maize, because maize have varieties. Kuna zingine, if you try, you will just get losses.
Yeah, you know, there is a specific variety of maize that have been developed towards the curbing of drought. So if you tell me that you are going to plant that kind of variety, then you are able to prevent this drought. And then there is this millet and sorghum. You find that native to semi-arid regions, they naturally adapt to these conditions with little rainfall. So you can also choose to plant millet or sorghum
Yeah, in my place, we don't really get rain all the time where I come from. So I think at least now I know that's why most farmers tend to have sorghum and millet in their farms. Yeah.
So, guys, if you want to get rid of drought, if you want to continue farming, even if there is a drought, you can plant these drought-tolerant crops such as rice and not rice, I mean, such as maize and millet or sorghum.
Yeah, and you need to ask an expert about the certain variety, the certain type of maize that you can plant. Not all types of maize that can survive in drought during the drought conditions.
Without researching on it, if it is really a drought resilient crop.
Yeah, the next one you have genetic engineering, so directly manipulating genes to confer resistance against conditions. There are crops that are they say manufactured or they are produced. You don't really get them direct from the they have been introduced.
Rice.
Yes. Kwanza there are rice that have been introduced. Did you hear of the plastic rice? There was a time.
Yeah, I've heard about that, and I was wondering how are they able to plant plastic rice?
In fact, that time I was even afraid of taking rice because
I've eaten plastic rice myself.
How does it taste? Tell me more.
Bouncy. The more you are trying to chew it, the more you experience certain bouncing in your mouth.
Iko kama ball gum.
Like that.
How are you even taking that plastic rice in stew now?
So I also remember that rice is also a flood tolerant crop. It can tolerate floods, just like you said.
Yes. Now I'm just trying to imagine how the plastic rice is bouncy.
It is very bouncy.
Now that plastic rice is an example of a genetic engineered type of crop. Because it's not something that was produced maybe from the shamba. I really laid out those rice. There's a way they were made. Yeah, there's a way they were made because there's no way you can plant plastic.
Yeah, so guys, if you also want to tolerate droughts or floods, make sure you're planting rice if you want to tolerate floods. And also if you want to tolerate the drought resilient crops, you can plant sorghum, you can plant millet or maize or corn.
Actually, the genetic engineered types of crops, they can survive in drought because you realize that maybe they don't need water. They can just grow.
Yeah, I can give example of rice. Gene has been introduced to certain rice varieties, allowing them to survive up to 14 days of complete submergence underwater. Just imagine introduction of these genes in rice that are able to survive the submergence of water. Like the rice is able to survive under a lot of water. It has been submerged underground. Like the rice is growing under the water up to 14 days and it can resist. Just imagine.
I think as much as I'd not want people to practice that, but it's a very simple way of surviving with different types of crops, right?
Yeah, if your area is prone to drought and a lot of you can see that not drought, if your area is prone to
the different climatic conditions, maybe drought or flood, these genetic engineered crops now are the best for your place.
Yeah, for example, floods. Of course, we've said that rice can tolerate floods, but too much floods, rice can't tolerate. But if you can use this gene rice, this rice that has been introduced using genetic, then it can survive up to 14 days with that flood happening.
Underground, actually, because now they'll be having water down there. Yes, we also have genome editing. So techniques like CRISPR. That is how it is, allows for precise changes in a plant's DNA to introduce or enhance traits. This thing is just sounding to me like a DNA for human beings because when I talk about crops, there are crops that you can know their DNA. You can know the DNA of plants actually, and then now you can introduce new traits for the crops. When you're planting when you're planting such crops, first of all, you have to know the DNA, because you will not know the DNA after you've planted. You have to know the DNA of that plant first before you introduce or enhance any type of trait. So once you know the DNA, you know the trait that you need to introduce to the plant in order for it to survive in maybe a drought, in an area that always experiences drought or even floods.
Also, the DNA is very crucial. It's a crucial step towards understanding what is really needed in terms of planting your plants.
Yeah, and also after you've done the DNA, now you'll get to know whether your plant can survive in the drought areas or whether it can survive in floody areas, so that you don't just plant any type of plant anywhere and then at the end of the day, the floods comes and sweeps them away. Yeah.
So now we are going to examples of drought-resistant crops. Just like I said, we have the maize. Maize can resist drought. We find that there are many varieties that tolerate drought. Varieties of maize that tolerate drought. Just like I said earlier.
Actually, it's drought-resilient maize, not all maize. Iron is just telling you maize. They are drought-resilient maize, not all maize. Don't just take your maize and now say that I was told in a farmer's media that maize can resist drought. Now let me plant.
No, like
Then Sarah up, and then you start blaming us. They are drought-resilient maize, not all maize.
Like drought-tolerant maize.
Yes.
So there are other varieties that can be able to tolerate drought. So you have to choose, you have to find an expert, someone who is knowledgeable about that area, someone who is knowledgeable about gene editing or something like that. So you also have to find how to go about this maize. We see that drought-tolerant maize varieties have been developed to produce yields even under water stress conditions. So that is another type of drought-resilient crop. And then you have millet and sorghum. I have already talked about that. And then now we go to flood-tolerant crops. I talked about rice.
Yeah.
And I hope that has gotten into you.
The flood-tolerant rice, not all types of rice.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the flood-tolerant rice are in Kenya.
Yeah, I think they are. Like there are different rice. A gene is introduced into the rice to enable it to tolerate certain conditions such as a lot of flood. So when this gene is introduced to the rice, they are able to tolerate these floods up to 15 days. Even if they are submerged completely, the rice is not appearing on the surface. So these genes, this kind of rice that have been introduced, can be able to tolerate this kind of conditions.
Now let me ask you, now that you are someone who has experienced the normal rice and the bouncy rice, the plastic rice, when you compare the two of them, which one is sweet? Which one is the best?
Of course, for those people who love crunchy things, for those people who love like unapenda tu, you are bored and you love doing something out of boredom, they can eat plastic rice. For me, I enjoyed it because I was bored. So it takes a lot of
How did you know? Like, how did you identify? Are you the one who bought the rice from the market?
Yeah, I was the one who bought it, and I knew that it was plastic rice due to the difference. You see, when you eat the normal rice,
wait,
rice,
tu pole pole. I want to understand everything here.
Okay.
So you went to the market and bought the plastic rice.
Yeah.
You knew you were buying plastic rice.
Yes.
How did you tell the shopkeeper? What did you tell the shopkeeper that you want?
Like, I didn't know that it is a plastic rice. I just went and said, give me rice.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering, when you knew the plastic rice, how it looks like.
Just give me the rice.
And how long did you take to prepare it?
Like, I don't remember. It was a long time when I ate that. I think I was in high school. But that bouncy rice, that plastic rice is bouncy compared to the normal rice.
But now let's try and estimate this. Maybe you might not remember the exact time that it took you to prepare the rice, but you can estimate when you compare this other rice that we know. I
think the normal rice is easier to cook.
Okay.
Like, compared to the plastic rice. Your plastic rice itamaliza gas. So, like the plastic rice, let's say we mix maragwe na plastic rice, utaona azishikani like the normal rice.
Oh.
Like iko tu moja like that. But when you when you compare it to the normal rice unajua vile inashikana.
But it's like people like zile rice zinaachana.
But sasa zinaachana but zinakuchokesha pia while you are chewing. Chewing is very challenging because when you are chewing it you tend to feel some pain somewhere.
I really want to taste that plastic rice. I don't know whether it's still there. If at all you know where I can find it, please tell me in the comment section. I need to try it out. Yeah. I need to try it out.
So we were talking about crop resilience and crop adaptation, and we were telling that these are kind of crops that can be able to survive under different climatic conditions. They can survive high salinity or any other thing. So back to the salt tolerant crops. But before I continue, we're still live on Facebook at Farmers Media, on YouTube at Farmers Media, and make sure you click on our website at www.farmersmedia.com. Again, this is Farmers Media where we connect, learn, and grow. Yes. Back to the topic of the day. So there are salt tolerant crops such as barley. Some varieties have shown resilience in saline conditions. So you can plant certain varieties of barley that can be able to tolerate salinity conditions. And then we have wild relatives of wheat. Some have genes for salt tolerance, which can potentially be crossbred with commercial wheat varieties. So wild relatives of wheat can be able they can be cross-fed, and they can crossbred them. So in a way that they are able to tolerate these salt conditions. So when you mix these types of genes together, they can tolerate salty conditions.
I think I've had an experience with the drought resilient barley. Yeah. I think we have planted it in our place before, and it did so well. I don't know, those who are not familiar with what barley is. Barley is simply actually the seeds. Do you say the fruits or what? It looks like rice.
I've never known the difference between barley and wheat. Is there any difference between
There's a difference.
Or are they the same thing?
No, there's a difference actually. Okay, for me, I know barley better, because it's something that I've interacted with before. Have you tasted the chapati, the chapati made from barley?
No. If I don't know what is barley, then how can I be able to have tasted this? Maybe I've tasted chapati made from barley and I don't know.
It's always brown anyway. Barley survived. We tried planting barley in our place and it did well. Actually, jua ilikuwa inawaka sana. There was so much sun during that time. It was always hot. Some crops were burning, but barley was surviving in my place. So for that, barley being a drought resilient crop, that one I can support because it's something that I've experienced. Yeah, we harvested the barley. It was just a matter of drying them and then took them to the posho mill, and then we had flour for chapati from our farm.
Then that is so interesting. Maybe I can come to a place one day and taste the chapati barley. The chapatis of barley or the barley of chapati.
The chapati is made from the barley. That is a tongue twister now.
That's better. So now we go to heat tolerant crops such as cowpea, which thrives in hot conditions. Maybe we can give an example in sub-Saharan areas in Africa. They plant these cowpea, which are also called black eyed pea, and these cowpeas are able to survive also in sub-Saharan areas where there is high heat. We know that in sub-Saharan areas in Africa, there is a lot of heat and people are suffering out of this. And you find that it is very difficult for most of the crops to be grown in that part of the area because of that heat. The heat is draining water from the plants through evaporation. So through that, the plants are easily drying. They can die very easily. But through using cowpea, it thrives in hot conditions, for example, in sub-Saharan areas. And then we have also beans. Certain varieties have been developed to tolerate temperatures that are 3 to 4 degrees Celsius. So they are also higher than the beans currently grown. So beans also, there are other beans that have been introduced that can be able to tolerate high temperatures, and these beans are able to tolerate these hot conditions. So now we go to crops resilient to variable conditions. We have cassava, which thrives under various conditions, including poor soils and low rainfall. It's also a drought tolerant and can withstand high temperatures.
Hey, let me talk about cassavas now.
Tell us about cassava story.
Cassavas, I'd like our viewers to engage with us on this. How long does cassava take in the farm before it's harvested? I think that is now my question of the day.
Like, okay, I also have a question for you. It seems that you know cassavas.
Okay, I'm familiar with cassavas, but now I always wonder how long it takes for it to grow and become mature before it's harvested. Because the cassavas that are planted in my home, I even lose count of when it was planted. It takes time. It takes a lot of time before we harvest. And I don't really count how many months it takes. But now I'm interested in knowing how many months, how long do cassava take in the farm before they mature, before they are harvested?
Now, I want you to tell me what cassavas are. Because I know cassava, but I always confuse them with sweet potatoes.
Ayan.
Yeah.
No, I expected you to tell me that you're confusing maybe cassava with yams.
No.
You're confusing cassavas with sweet potatoes.
Yeah, I am not sweet potatoes.
Where?
Don't mind me, I come from a semi-arid area, so I don't know these kinds of things. I've only seen cassava and assumed they are sweet potatoes or yam. And I've seen yams and assumed they are sweet potatoes. The only thing that I know is sweet potatoes. So for me, I always think that
all of them are sweet potatoes.
Yes.
So you don't even know if you've ever tasted cassava or not?
I don't know.
Wow.
But what I'm sure of is that I know sweet potatoes.
Have you ever watched a Nigerian movie?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen them saying that they take pounded yams or they take yams?
Yeah, I've seen them, but they look like sweet potatoes.
And you are lying now.
What is the shape of cassava's then?
No, it's not a matter of shape. There's no way a cassava can look like a sweet potato.
Like, what's the color of a cassava?
The cover is brown. The cover is always brown, and it's somehow it's a bit rough.
Cassava is luma.
No. Well, tuongee nyuma ya tent ya blue. I need to show you everything. In fact, on our way home, I'm going to show you the difference because I've seen a vendor who is selling cassava, selling yams, and also selling sweet potatoes.
Okay, you can show me when
I will show you because, or even next time we can bring them. I'm so shocked. You don't know the difference between cassava, yams, and sweet potatoes. Aki, that is basic knowledge.
I just know sweet potatoes 100%. I know what sweet potatoes are.
But now you always think that cassavas are sweet potatoes.
Yeah, I've only read about cassavas. I've read a lot about cassavas, but I've never seen them with the naked eye. Maybe I've seen them, but I don't know these are cassavas. I only assume they are sweet potatoes.
Wow. Now this is a very big surprise.
Anyway guys, tupatane
nyuma ya tent ya blue. I need to teach her about the difference between cassava, yam, and sweet potatoes. Unashtua viewers.
Yeah, also another crop rather resilient to variable conditions are sweet potato, especially the orange flesh variety. Is drought tolerant and can grow in marginal soil. Why? Wow,
okay,
a nice one.
Sweet potatoes. I've never seen any other type of sweet. The ones that I've seen. Why am I talking about my place so much? When we experience drought that much, because I'm also surprised because these things that you're talking about here, they survive in my place.
Maybe that is the preference for people in your area. Maybe they just love doing this kind of farming.
But we plant sweet potatoes, we plant cassavas. Jua inakuja. Now do I call it drought?
Yeah,
it comes, goes, but those ones are still there. You just hear my mom telling us, and then mzilete tupike, and they're there.
Do you know why? Because in our areas it is something that we need, but in your areas it's something that you require.
Okay.
Like we are needing it. Like we really need those kind of things to survive, to be able to produce food. But for you just plant it because
it's there.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the difference. Anyway, guys, it's been a good session. We are going to take a short break and we will be back with a lot more.
Drip irrigation is a type of micro irrigation system that has potential to save water and nutrients by allowing water to drip slowly to the roots of the plants, either from above the soil surface or buried below the surface. The goal is to place water directly into the root zone and minimize evaporation. This system is very efficient because it delivers water directly to the plant roots, reducing water waste. It's often used in arid regions or during periods of water shortage, but it's also used in more temperate climates for its efficient and conservation benefits. Common uses include vegetable gardens, flower beds, trees, shrubs, and agroforests. It can be set up for both small-scale home gardens and large-scale agricultural operations. The system requires a water source, a method to distribute the water, usually tubes and hoses, and emitters which control the amount of water delivered.
Good morning again. Welcome back. Welcome to Farmers Media. This is where we connect, learn, and grow. We are still live on our social media channels or social media accounts. We are live on Facebook at Farmers Media. We are live on YouTube at Farmers Media. And make sure you click on our website at www.farmersmedia.com. This is .farmersmedia.com.
Yes, and I'm seeing you're doing an injustice to our Twitter people because you're not mentioning them. You're also on Twitter at farmers underscore media, farmers with a Z. Now, ensure if you're on Twitter, tutakuacha sana. Ayan is sidelining those who are on Twitter.
Yeah, we are live on those. You can even follow us on our TikTok account.
Yes.
Yeah. Follow us. Make sure that you're following all our social media accounts because this is the farming era. Yani, how can I say? This is the home of farming. This is where you learn all the aspects of farming. This is where you get to learn about pests and diseases that can affect your farm and also find possible solutions and also interact with experts in one way or another throughout the week. So welcome back.
And on our website is www.farmers.com. She likes those Facebook family people and YouTube. Hapa kwa Didi website and Twitter kidogo anatuchenga.
Yeah, sometimes I tend to forget, but guys, make sure you click on our website so that you learn more about who we really are and what services we offer.
Yes.
So back to the topic of the day where we were talking about climate resilient crops and their adaptations. So we were talking about the crops that can be resilient to drought, floods, and now we are going to crops that are resilient to pests and diseases. I know that's an interesting one because a lot of farmers are really yearning to know what are these crops that we can use during this season to be able to cope with pests and diseases.
Actually, you realize that most farmers are affected by pests and diseases, even compared to how they are affected with the droughts and floods. Pests and diseases is always a major problem when it comes to farming. Any type of farming, even livestock farming, pests and diseases will always affect in one way or the other.
Yeah, so one of the crops that can resist pests and diseases are BT cotton, genetically modified to produce a natural insecticide against certain pests. So these BT cottons are able to resist pests and diseases because they produce a certain substance that can keep away the pests and diseases. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting. Getting a pesticide from a cotton?
Yeah, like they produce a natural insecticide against certain pests. Imagine you are not having the cost of buying insecticide to get rid of the pests.
Oh, now I get it. Now you're talking about a cotton that is already planted, but now the pest can't attack it because it has maybe some kind of smell.
Yeah, and this kind of cotton is BT cotton.
Wow.
They are genetically modified to produce a natural insecticide that can keep away pests and diseases. You see? So that is another advantage of a cotton farmer because if you plant this kind of cotton, there is no way you are able to use a lot of money during the buying of insecticide to prevent the attack of pests. You see, through this you are able to get rid of them naturally. First of all, because you are conserving environment, you're not
Yes.
using insecticides. So that will be very beneficial to both you as a farmer and also to the environment itself. And then we have GM papaya, modified to be resistant to the papaya ring spot virus. So that's also another type of crop that can be resilient to pests and diseases.
It's papaya popo.
Yeah,
Okay.
papaya.
That is a Swahili name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these crops, whether naturally resilient or developed,
Developed. The Samburu in you.
Okay. Anyway, developed these crops, whether naturally or resilient or developed through scientific intervention, play a crucial role in ensuring food security in regions affected by climate change. However, it is very important to combine their cultivation with sustainable agricultural practices and integrated farming system to achieve a long-term resilience.
Okay, I think from the subtopic that Ayan has handled, I've really got to learn something that I didn't know. At least, first of all, I've already told you that there's a difference between yams, cassava, and sweet potatoes.
Yeah,
and now,
didn't know.
yes,
You maybe that. Right now, I'm looking forward for you to take me somewhere.
yes, show you the difference.
So that the next time I come here, I'll have that confidence of telling you guys that, you know what, I know cassava, I know yams, and I know sweet potato.
And at least I've also learned about the BT cotton. That is something I didn't know, that it can, let me say, just chase away pests. Yes. So that is something new here. It's all about learning. We learn from each other.
Yeah.
We learn from you, and you also learn from us. That is why we always encourage you to send us your feedback in the comment section. If at all you know anything concerning our topic, any new thing that you'd like our viewers and also us to learn, you can tell us in the comment section. And if you have any questions also, you can send in. We try answer them. We always say that we're not experts, but with time we'll try our best to be bringing experts. Getting experts is also not easy, but we always try our best to be bringing experts, maybe in 1 or 2 shows, so that we also get to learn from the experts.
Yeah, and make sure that you are learning something out of this session, because every day is a learning day. Make sure you get with something out of this session, even if it's a small thing. Even if you got a BT cotton can be resistant to insecticide, that is something that you have learned. At least you're not going to waste any time listening to something that you don't understand. At least understand one thing or 2 things, or you can understand the whole session. That is also a nice move.
Then we have the benefits of these climate resilient crops. The first benefit is food security. So when I talk about food security, this is what I mean. It ensures consistent yields even under adverse conditions. So when you're having your crops that can survive under drought, maybe for example the cassavas, at the end of the day people will be hungry. There will be no food, but you'll be having your cassava.
Yeah, and that will save a lot of lives. People outside there are very when there is this outbreak of hunger, people lack very many things. They lack especially food. And when you tell me that you're going to plant these cassavas in these drought areas, you'll save a lot of people.
Yes.
You'll also get profits because you are the only person who wants cassava during drought season. So a lot will come from outside towards you. So through that, you are also going to ensure that there is food security. People are able to afford food. They are able to eat food even if there is drought strike.
And you are sure that you'll never go hungry. You and your family, you will never go hungry. So if you know you are in an environment that experiences drought or even experiences floods, ensure you have something. You have crops, because I know by now you know what kind of crops to have in your farm. Now that you are in a drought, in an area that experiences drought or even floods, you're familiar with the type of crops that you can plant in your area, so that even if drought comes, you're good. Even if floods come, you're good. So in that way, you'll be saving so much, because you'll be having food for your family. That is the most important thing. First of all, when there's a problem, many people just focus on what will my family be eating?
Yeah, and you know that many people lose hope during drought seasons. Maybe you're a farmer and you feel that your crops have been affected by droughts
Yeah.
many times, and you feel that I can't do this anymore. But through using these crop resilient, climate resilient crops,
Yes.
you'll be able to continue to produce. There will be consistency of production of food, so you'll be able to produce it over and over again because you are able to plant these crops that are able to resist such certain climatic conditions.
Now that you're from an environment that experiences drought, let me ask you: have you ever been in your place, in your home, while there's drought?
Yeah, many times.
How
the
do
rest
you-
of my life.
How do you guys survive?
Like when there are droughts,
Yes.
we implement a lot of stuff because first of all, people in my area they don't practice farming that much, but they do livestock keeping. So during drought season, when there is no food, there is nothing, they tend to move from one place to another to look for water and food and pasture. But as for those who live in towns, we plant vegetables like the one that like the garden vegetables, a small garden, then you just plant your vegetable and keep watering them now and then. So that is how we survive.
So when these people move, will they ever come back?
Yeah. Like we move from one place to another according to seasons. Like if I'm living in this area, like us we are like movers, mobile by choice. Like we are like mobile people by choice. So as like we live in this area, we after animals they eat everything in that land, and there is no more green pastures and the water is not there. We move to another area. We leave our houses there. We remove everything else that is inside the houses and carry it with our donkeys to another place. So when you take it to another place, we come, we live in that place. We leave this area. It is like we are doing zero grazing. I don't know, rotational grazing.
Yes.
But now we are going to areas that are even further. So after we leave this land, we go somewhere else that has greener pastures and enough water. We settle there maybe for 3 months, and then we move to another place.
I'm
By the
interested.
time-
I'm interested in knowing how do you know that now there's greener pasture where I'm going?
Of course, we have men, we have warriors who are able to, like, they secure, they go around to look for greener pastures. They travel even for miles, and then they identify this area is very suitable, it can sustain our animals for so long. They also have to see the majority of people. They also have to calculate that we have this amount of people, maybe 3,000 people, and we have a lot of cows, over 1 million. So we have to identify an area where our cows will survive even for a month or 2 months. So when they identify that area, they come inform their society, and then the people are able to migrate to that particular area. Just go, and then after that area, if this other area that you came from is green again, you come back there. So everybody goes to her house.
Wow.
Ile nyumba ulikuwa umeacha kitambo. So you come back to your house. You stay there. But the more you move, the more you build houses in new areas. So when that area is green, you come back to your previous house. So we own like 30 houses in different places.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
that is interesting.
It's very interesting. Like I always like those moments. when
People with
are
their
like-
cultures. That is
So,
very interesting.
For us,
by the
drought
way.
is not something that can scare us as pastoral.
You're used to it.
Yeah, we are used to it. It's something that is normal. It's something that we can get rid of in an instant. We just identify that this area is affected by drought. We move.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, we also have economic stability. So it helps farmers maintain income levels even during climate extremes, just like Ayan had already explained. When you have this type of crops, and it's during the drought season, you can harvest them and then go sell them at the end of the day. You know, as much as I'd not encourage you to exploit your buyers, but at that time, even if cassava is normally 20 shillings per fruit, or even per fruit, you can sell cassava even 100 shillings per fruit, and people will still buy.
Yeah,
So
because
you'll be getting so much money.
yeah, with that you'll have money to sustain your family for the longest time.
Yes.
You won't have problems with money. Like your finances you'll be like stable financially. Yeah.
So this is just a matter of calculating your moves. You know when to plant these crops so that when drought comes, you can harvest and sell. You calculate your moves well. You collect your data and know that I planted during this time. So by the time the drought comes, I'll be having this amount of crops, and then I can be selling at this price so that I get this amount of money. And then you plant again. Don't just be depending on planting now and then after harvesting and then you sell, you get good money, you relax.
Yeah,
as
and
a
you
farmer.
also have to go with the market demand.
Yes.
You have to look over it. See that in this season, there will be drought, and I know that most people around this area will be needing cassava.
Yes.
So when you identify that market gap, you ensure that during that area you have your cassavas. During
Yes.
that time, you have your cassavas ready. And you can't tell me that people are going to refuse to buy it because there is no other way they can survive.
They don't
without
have an
cassava.
option.
Yeah, they don't have an option. So even if you say that I'm going to sell one cassava at 500 shillings,
People will buy, but don't exploit your buyers. Don't say that we encourage you to exploit your buyers.
we're just giving an example.
Yes, that's just an example. Now it's upon you as a farmer to know what you can do so that you get good money. Then you also have biodiversity. So it introduces a variety of genetic traits into the farming landscape. So when I talk about introducing a variety of genetic traits, this is something new. So when you keep on introducing new genetic traits, you are bringing in something new into the farming system, and it's making the farming system to develop. Because now we are going broad, we are going wide, we are bringing in different new crops that are maybe you've breeded now 2 different types of crops, and now that is something new. That is a new crop that you are bringing into the farming system. That way you are developing the farming world.
Yeah, you can also consider planting these maize varieties that are resistant to drought, and then you plant rice that is resistant to flood.
Yeah.
So that when floods come, when droughts come, you have your maize.
Yes.
When floods come, you have your rice. So you can also consider doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we go to challenges. What are these challenges that farmers are facing outside? They are trying to curb these climatic changes,
Yes.
or trying to implement these climatic resilient
Crops.
crop adaptations. So one of the challenges are acceptance. Genetic engineering and genome editing can sometimes face societal and regulatory challenges. You find that there is a certain society that doesn't believe in this genetic editing. They are really discouraging other farmers from practicing it in a way that they believe that these crops contain certain chemicals, they contain certain substances that can harm their children. So there is this lack of acceptance from the society. They can say that in our tradition, we've been planting maize this way for the longest time, but now we are coming to introduce this kind of thing that is very new to us. So they will not accept you to plant such kind of maize. They will not accept to buy those kind of maize from you. So that's another challenge, because it is very difficult to introduce something new and expect that everyone will be happy about it.
Actually, when you're a farmer and maybe now you're planting that type of maize, definitely if the people from your village or the people from your area do not accept it, they will really complain.
Yeah.
If at all now you've planted, after you planted, pollination will definitely occur. Maybe your neighbor has a shamba also next to yours, then pollination occurs. Then in that way, you mix
mix your maize with
theirs. The bees carry the pollen grains to theirs, and then theirs also comes out as this type of maize that you are planting. It will bring so much chaos.
Yeah, and so much trouble, because a farmer has to be sure of what he or she wants to plant.
Yeah.
But the moment we distract other farmers from planting what they really need,
Yeah.
then it will be another type of challenge.
They will complain and they will blame you. It will bring so much chaos. So that is as much as this type of maize is good, it's a challenge. Planting it is also another challenge.
Yeah, and again there is distribution. That's another challenge. Making these varieties available for small scale farmers globally will be a very huge challenge, because mainly these people who practice these gene editing maize, something like that, introducing genes to the maize, they mainly focus on the large scale farmers.
Yeah.
So distributing to to small scale farmers will be a challenge because they are going to take in small quantities.
Yeah.
You see, so that's another challenge. Distributing may be a very big challenge.
And also those farmers who are practicing small scale farming, they might not be interested.
Yeah. And then there is dependency. Over reliance on a few varieties can threaten biodiversity. You see, when you tell me that you are going to plant this kind of like crop resistant over and over again, you only depending on these crop resilient crops, and you continue planting them in your farm, it will be very difficult. It will be very difficult for you as a farmer and also for others, because first of all, the biodiversity that are in the soil, they are not used to these chemicals. They are not used to these kind of seeds, so they will tend to migrate or even die. So that is another challenge.
Then after the challenges, definitely we have the way forward. As much as there are challenges, because everything that is good definitely has a challenge. Something can't just be perfect without any challenge. So after the challenges, we normally say that we have solutions. So we have the way forward here. First one, we have research and development. So continued investment in research to understand plant genetics and stress responses. So when you keep on researching about different types of plants, the genetic plants, you keep on researching about them, and then at the end of the day, people will get to know about you as a farmer. Maybe you are not interested in the plant genetics, but now after researching about them, now you'll be so familiar with them, in that even if you see someone planting them, you will not be disagreeing with that person, because now you understand what that person is talking about. And also, you'll not be stressed as a farmer now that I can't be planting this type of maize. I don't know what it has. It's fake. Maybe it has chemicals. Actually, this story for GMO was really interesting. It was a big discussion, and it was interesting because now people are saying that if you take that GMO maize, at the end of the day, you'll have Mara 4 years, Mara 3 eyes. It was something
they also
funny.
say that someone can get barren overtaking.
Yes.
Like there are a lot of myths about that.
Exactly.
So the reaction of farmers is always different.
Yeah.
Like you just say that this will help farmers. But the moment you arrive there, you find that they also have a different perspective toward what you want to plant.
So researching as a farmer is so important, because at the end of the day, you'll not be telling people that when you plant these genetic plants, at the end of the day, you'll have 3 legs, Mara 5 legs.
Yeah. And again, don't just research because you want to satisfy your curiosity, or you're just researching just in case. Research to understand. So that even if you go outside that society, you're going to make them understand what really this research means and what really these crops mean.
Yeah, and that takes me to the next point, that is education and training. So equipping farmers with knowledge about these crops and also their management is also very important. After you've researched, now you have the knowledge. You know everything about the climate resilient crops. Now you can inform other farmers, you can educate them, you can maybe call for a training, maybe call for a meeting for farmers, or organize a meeting or organize a training. Then you explain to them the importance of such crops, maybe the genetic plants, the genetic crops. After explaining to them, it will be so easy for them to understand why they should be planting this type of crops.
Yeah, and you know that people are very funny creatures. Like, we are very funny because you can give us something and tell us to utilize it. We utilize it as long as it benefits us, but we don't know what are the uses of this, what is the outcome of using this. So while you are doing these genetic crops, make sure you're educating people on what are the importance of these crops, what are the disadvantages, so that if anything happens, you won't be to be blamed, because they use those kind of crops when they knew the advantages and disadvantages. So make sure you're educating them on both the side effect and also the positive effects.
I think the best way to bring those farmers closer when you are talking about the climate resilient crops is just encouraging them to plant and inform them that at the end of the day, when they are harvesting, not so many people will be having food, and then they'll sell at a good price. I believe not all farmers want to be selling their products at a good price. So when you tell them that, you'll be calling them closer, you'll be encouraging them to plant those type of crops, and they will.
But again, learn to tell them the truth because inasimkananga ukweli inaweza kufunga. Like make sure you tell them everything that there is.
They expect the advantages, the risks, the disadvantages, everything.
Because if anything happens, then they want to be blamed. You have already said anything.
Yeah.
So they won't even have that courage to come and confront you.
Yeah.
Because they knew very well when you introduce this kind of thing, you told them everything concerning it.
Yes, so we also have infrastructure. So developing seed banks, their distribution networks and support systems to ensure wide availability. Yeah, so when you develop maybe seed banks, that is the seeds for these climate resilient, actually the crops that are resilient to the climate. You can develop for them the seed banks, and you also look for the distribution networks where you can be distributing those seeds, and also the support system, so that to ensure wide availability, so that it's not like you're the only one who have the variety that is needed during drought or even during floods. You ensure that at least there are so many people that have them. At least different farmers have different seeds, so that when that time comes for planting, you're not the only one who is supplying. There are so many people that are supplying. That is why it's so important for farmers to be knowledgeable concerning these crops that can be planted during drought or even during floods, so that they also get to know that they can also have the seeds. They can also have the plants, so that they sell out to other farmers who can also plant, and at the end of the day harvest when others are also harvesting.
Yeah, now let's go to climate adaptation in agriculture. What do you understand by, we have already told you about climate, and we are still going to tell you the difference between climate and weather.
Have you ever realized that you really shine with that? I normally say that you love shining with the difference between climate and weather.
Anyway, okay, now we are going to tell you about adaptation. The difference, what adaptation is. In biology in high school, we learned about adaptation, and it had a lot of marks. Like when I saw the questions concerning adaptations when I was in high school, I was really excited
because you knew everything.
Yeah, I learned about adaptation things because I understood that chapter very well. And I can give some of the natural adaptations of plants. For example, you can find that the cactus have thick leaves. Those leaves, the adaptation of the cactus is that they have these thick leaves. These thick leaves are able to preserve water. You see, so that's their adaptation. And then when you tell me that, what about the, let's say, legumes? We say the legumes, the beans. The beans have wider leaves. These leaves provide a huge service for the receiving of sunlight. So when they receive sunlight, they are able to transport food very well. So those are some of
what took you to journalism, and yet you knew biology so well?
I love biology.
Should have been a teacher by now.
Yeah, and also some plants have tendrils that help them to support. That helps in supporting them.
Shine.
Take
that opportunity and shine.
Now we are going to talk about the climate adaptation. So climate adaptation in agriculture refers to the adjustments made in agricultural system to better respond to the challenges posed by changing climate patterns. So given the crucial role agriculture plays in global food security and local economies, adaptation strategies are essential for both subsistence and commercial farmers. So I'm going to start with an overview of what this climate adaptation is. So one of them is soil conservation and health. And conservation, one of them is conservation tillage, reducing or eliminating tilling to preserve soil structure, reduce erosion, and improve water retention. So you can use this adaptation of conservation tillage. You ensure that when you are tilling your land, you avoid tilling your land in a way that you are destroying the soil.
You don't go too deep.
Yeah. If you go too deep, then you are bringing your crops some other problems, because first of all, they'll have problems during emergence of crops. It will take a while for your crops or your seedlings to grow if you dig deeper, and also you are also giving a chance of soil erosion. So a soil erosion can occur because you have already removed the upper soil particles. So it will be very easy for water or the wind to carry away the soil particles because they are loose in the soil.
And also, it's also spoiling the soil structure. I normally say that when you're a farmer, please ensure that the structure of your soil is perfect. If you want good yields at the end of the day, ensure that your soil, the structure of your soil is always perfect. That's why again, you should test your soil so that you know what kind of nutrients are there and what kind of nutrients are not there, so that you know where you can fix and where you should leave it where the way it is. So when you till excess, when you practice excess tillage, at the end of the day, there is soil erosion, just like I have already said, and then now you're destroying your soil structure, and you're also killing maybe the soil organisms that are there that can help your soil to be fertile. You're killing them slowly by slowly.
Yeah, so, and we are not telling you that you stop tilling your land. You can reduce tilling your land or even stop it completely to ensure that your soil structure is preserved and to ensure that your soil has water retention capacity, whereby it will be able to hold water for long for plants to consume water. But the moment you till them even deeper, the water won't stay there any longer. Like they will get drained immediately. Yeah. So another one is cover crops. Planting crops that protect soil from erosion, improve soil health, and suppress weeds. You can plant grass. If you plant grass, it will prevent you from so many things, especially soil erosion, because the grass have that ability of holding the soil particles together. So when they hold that soil particle together, there is no chance of floods. Carrying away your soil, first of all, because the grass can be able to prevent this water from moving further. So when they try to carry the soil, today the ads.
You've been affected by a lure.
Yeah. So when the water is trying to carry away the soils, the cover crops will be able to prevent them. Even the trees are still cover crops. You can plant trees to prevent soil erosion.
And also, actually, when you have your cover crops, your soil retains moisture. It can hold water so well. So planting cover crops is also the best way. When you're a farmer, you have to know that cover crops are so important. Don't just be looking at a farmer who has planted grass and now you start wondering what's wrong with this person. Why is he or she having grass in their farms? They know what they're doing. Planting cover crops like grass and trees are so important. Actually, you realize that when someone buys a piece of land, they prefer to have trees on that piece of land first before they do anything to retain the soil fertility, to retain the soil structure, and also in order for the soil to retain water or even the moisture.
So another soil conservation and health is agroforestry, combining trees with crops or livestock farming to protect against wind erosion, enhance biodiversity, and improve soil health. So agroforestry, I always say that it is the growing of crops, rearing of animals in one piece of land, or even growing of trees. So through agroforestry, you're able to preserve not only your soil but also the health of your plants, because first of all, the trees will be able to provide enough support on the soil, just like Mary said, to avoid soil erosion and also to avoid other challenges. And also the livestock there will be able to provide fertilizers or manure. So it will also good to use agroforestry to avoid also the use of chemicals and herbicides. Instead, you can use the chickens and the chickens waste and the cows waste to the cows dung or the other animals to create manure and also to create things that can prevent the spread of pests and diseases instead of using chemicals.
Actually, I normally say that agroforestry is like practicing agroforestry is like holding a chain, like you're having a chain, because let's assume now you have trees, then you have maybe you've planted grass under the trees, and there are other crops also, because now you can't mix animals plus the crops in one place. Maybe it's just one big space. You have trees all over, then you have half of it have crops, maybe vegetables, and then this other side you now have your animals. The trees will be providing the shade for the animals.
Yeah,
Now,
even for yourself as a farmer,
Yeah.
sometimes you are tired and the sun is very hot.
hot, you can rest under the trees. The trees is providing the shade for you and your animals. Your animals are providing the manure for your crops. Your crops are growing and feeding you as a farmer, and even giving you money when you take them to the market. So it's a beautiful chain, because at the end of the day, each and every material, or maybe you have the animal, you have the crops, each and everything is supporting the other.
Yeah, and you know that the chicken can also eat the pest.
Yeah.
So instead, you get rid of caterpillars naturally. Like,
The problem only comes in when you have maybe you have something like sukuma wiki in your farm, and now
Yeah,
the
but
chicken are coming to eat the pest plus the sukuma wiki.
yeah, but as a wise farmer, you can't do that. Of course, you will know what the chicken can feed on.
Yeah.
You can't release them to that part of the land.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you have any other point.
I don't think I have any other point.
Now let's move to the water management, because when you're talking about farming, we have to talk about soil, we have to talk about water, we have to talk about pests and diseases, soil testing. Don't normally feel please don't have that feeling of we are repeating ourselves. Each and every topic has a different way or a new way of tackling it.
Yeah, and if there was someone who was not been joining us, who was just recently joined the live, he'll be able to get very lucky to learn this kind of things. Or someone who is a first timer, someone who has just joined a farmers media, you're able to learn this. So the moment we repeat, there are also others who are learning from it, and it is also sticking to your mind that this is what I should do, or this is what I've learned. Yeah.
Actually, before I get to water management, I just got to learn that right now most farmers are planting managu. I don't know if you know managu, right? Yes. Most farmers.
That one I won't miss out. I used to love its fruits, the red ones. We eat the fruits from managu. Yeah, the small red managus. We eat the leaves also and the fruits. But for us children, we used to collect those red fruits and then we eat them. They are very sweet.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you have learned something from that.
I'm wondering, how can you eat the fruits from why are you even eating them?
They have small fruits.
I know they have, but why are you eating them?
Because I was born and I found people eating, so I continued with the legacy.
Okay, different people can eat different things.
Yes.
Wow.
So
okay.
What you see as a waste is someone else's fault. That is the proverb for another day that I was talking about.
Okay, so I just realized that most farmers are planting managu. So maybe one of these days, before the end of the week, we'll be talking about how maybe you can plant managu. Maybe now you've heard from us and now you're interested in planting managu. Don't go away. Ensure that you keep tuning in each and every day of the week, so that you also get to learn something new. We'll definitely talking about how we'll definitely talk about how managu can be planted before the end of this week.
Yeah, we're still live on our social media accounts. We are live on YouTube at Farmers Media. We are live on Facebook at Farmers Media, and make sure you click on our website at www.afarmersmedia.com. And don't forget that you can also follow us on our Twitter.
Yes.
At Farmers with a Z. Yeah.
Okay, let's move to the water management. So when I talk about water management, I'm going to talk about rainwater harvesting, drip irrigation, and also terracing. So let's get to the rainwater harvesting. This is just collecting and storing rainwater for irrigation during dry periods. So even in those areas with drought, in your area, have you ever experienced rain in your area?
Like, is that even a question? Of course we have. If there was no rain in my area, I won't be here. We could have died long time.
No, see, maybe now there's a way they supply water. Maybe the government supplies water to your place.
No, we experienced rain in
Okay.
certain periods. For example, I can give you example in December. Like when it reaches like November, December, it starts raining a lot, heavily.
Okay.
And then also in January we experience rain. Like throughout the year we experience rain, but once in a while, and then we go for a period of 3 months drought, or 4 months or 5 months.
Okay, so if you're from Ayan's area, You're the one I'm talking to when it comes to when it comes to rainwater harvesting. So when it rains in your place and you know very well your place is always experiencing drought, ensure that you collect the rainwater. Look for a way of collecting, maybe through the gutters. You buy tanks, those big tanks, so that anytime it rains, the water gets into those tanks and you can store water inside those tanks, or even the jerry cans, the buckets. You can store water in different places so that when the drought comes, why are you laughing?
I just remembered something out of water conservation. You know, in our area, there was a time that there was drought for 3 months straight. Like, everywhere ilikuwa ni vumbi tu. Like, we were really needing water because we used to travel a lot of kilometers for us to get water. And so I had a neighbor, and she was not at home. It was only his son. So when it rained, one day it rained without even our notice. Like, it just rained. You know what this son did? She filled everywhere with water, including spoons and spoons and the plates.
Wow.
Including plates.
Well, he was helping the parent.
Yeah, and I was like, why are you putting water in the spoons and plates? He was very young, around 6 years. And he said that, you know what? The rain has done something bad to us. We have stayed without water for 3 months, and now I'm going to conserve water. I'm going to fill everywhere. Like, I was so proud of him because he filled drums, all 3 drums with water. He filled their jerry cans, and also he filled the spoons and the plates. And I was like, what are we going to do with the plates? He said that, you know, when even the sufurias,
wow,
he filled everywhere water. And I told him, how will you cook? How will you eat? And he told me, you know what? My mom usually wakes up in the morning to go to take shower. So the water from the sufuria
and the plates.
Yeah. She will use it to
take a shower.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I'm so proud of you. And that water lasted for months.
No, that is the problem with people who are not used to seeing rain.
Yeah, when you see rain, you take advantage of it. For us,
so that is what you should do when you're from an area that experiences drought and you're surprised by rain the way people from Mayan's place are normally surprised by rain.
Yes.
Ensure you store enough water so that even when the drought comes and you have your crops in your farms, you already have enough water that you can use to irrigate your crops.
Yeah, so make sure you harvest enough water.
Yes.
Hata kama unaona the rain will last for like 3 months. Of course, better be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
If you have a big tank, make sure you conserve water. Like, make sure that it is filling. Hata kama inamwagika, even if it is doing what, just continue filling it. Because one time you'll need that water. Just like I said before, you will need that water. I've experienced that. Kuna time tu nimetamani maji ya mvua. Like, I was like, where could I get
rainwater? You have to travel before you get the rainwater.
Yeah, or I buy it from a shop. And from a shop, it's not even rainwater most of the time.
Yeah,
so,
it has minerals.
Yeah.
Okay.
And rainwater is very sweet, you know, first in our area.
Because we are not used to seeing it.
Yeah, they always say that in Majia Homa, the first rainwater. But we drink it regardless. You know,
do you get the flu?
No, we have strong immune system. Like, we're used to that.
It's not like you have strong immune system. You're not used to the water. Now when the rainwater comes, you're just excited. You don't even remember that you can get flu.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move to drip irrigation. So this just delivers water directly to plant roots, minimizing water use. So when you're from an area that there's no water each and every time,
yeah, especially semi-arid and arid
areas, after you've collected the rainwater, try and practice drip irrigation so that you don't waste a lot of it. At the end of the day, when you practice drip irrigation, or the water will just be coming out bit by bit and just moves to the root of the plant. So when you practice drip irrigation, you'll not be using so much water when it comes to irrigating your farms.
Yeah, we know that drip irrigation has many advantages because it is one of the methods that has been appreciated worldwide. I was talking about, I'm still going to remind you about where drip irrigation started. I think it started in China, and it started with a man who was, conserving water in a pot. But first of all, it was about a man and a son. They were in the field and they realized that among all their crops, there was one tree that was constantly growing, and the rest were not growing. Like, you've planted them at the same time, but the others are still young. But one is very huge, covering the rest of them. So they realized that what is happening to this tree, and when they observed keenly, they found out that there has been water that has been leaking to this tree, slowly.
Okay.
Like, it has been leaking. So through this, the tree is able to consume a lot of water. Like, every day it's consuming that small amount of water. So through that, it was able to grow even further. So that is when drip irrigation was introduced. So drip irrigation has many advantages, including preventing water from evaporating. First of all, because when the water is dripping into the ground, it is dripping into the roots of the plants. There is no chance of evaporation. The plants are consuming water
directly. Yes.
Yeah. And again, you can also practice fertigation method, whereby you won't have a lot of stress while putting fertilizers into your farm. Instead, you can mix it with water and then put them through the pipes. So the plants will be able to consume fertilizer equally, because you have put equal amount of fertilizer in that water. So each and every crop will be able to obtain the same amount of fertilizer. And through that, you'll be able to harvest a lot. You'll be able to harvest yields that are the same overall. There won't be any place that doesn't experience high yields.
Yeah, so that I still encourage you to practice drip irrigation. She's so passionate about drip irrigation.
Yeah, I'm going to teach people in my area that one day, that when I go back home, I'm going to educate them about farming. First of all, I'm planning that I'm going to be a farmer. I've already decided.
That is a very nice move.
Yeah, I told you, Mary, that I'm going to be a farmer. I'll rear pigs. I was telling you about that the other day. I'm going to rear pigs, and I'm going to plant vegetables, and I will use drip irrigation. Through our Farmers Media, I've learned a lot, of which I'm going to take into my society and educate other farmers outside there.
You might be the next women rep. You might be the next women rep of your county.
Yeah, maybe one day we can visit there as a Farmers Media, educate farmers outside there, because they really need this education. And they have this education, they'll be able to even move mountains. They can even be they can even be number one in the whole country in agriculture. It's just that they lack education.
Actually, the problem with some of the experts is that they have this information, but they are holding it to themselves. They don't want to share. So if you're an expert who is just holding the information by herself or by himself, learn to share so that people from different areas get to have more knowledge concerning farming.
Yeah, and I really commend those experts, especially those that I saw another documentary that was in Turkana, and they were teaching farmers on planting methods. They were teaching them on irrigation systems, and I really commend that organization. I don't know what it is, but I really commend those people to that initiative. Those experts that took initiative to educate people in Turkana on planting even during drought seasons. So if you are an expert outside there, please come here. Come to a Farmers Media. What are you waiting for? Come here and educate farmers outside there, because they really depend on this knowledge that you are going to provide to them for them to learn.
Okay, we also have terracing. So terracing is just basically building steps on sloping land to prevent rainwater runoff and soil erosion. This type of actually, terracing is something I've seen happening maybe next to our tarmac roads mostly. When I was young, I never knew how a terrace looks like, a gabion looks like. It's just something that we are being taught in primary school, but I never really understood what it was until I saw how a gabion looks like, a terrace area looks like. So it's just basically sloping a land to prevent rainwater, so that the rainwater do not flow with the soil, because the moment it rains and then the rainwater flows with the soil, it brings about soil erosion, because it's carrying the top coat of the soil. Yeah,
terracing is mostly practiced in area where it is hilly or mountains, near the mountains, because it is always slopy in a way that in a bend,
Yeah.
So the moment you plant your crops here and the water flows, it will go with all your crops. But the moment you put these blocks, like it is just like this. This is an example of terracing. You plant your crops here, then you plant another one here, and then this land is slopey, but it is in a way that the soil will not be able to be carried away by the water, because kuna obstacle there is always an obstacle. So that is terracing.
Yes.
So now let's go to crop diversification. There is polyculture, growing multiple crops in the same space to increase biodiversity and resilience. So polyculture is whereby you grow a lot of crops in the same space. Like maybe you have 1 acre of land, you grow maize there, you grow wheat, you grow beans, you
barley,
like everything, sorghum, cassava, you grow them in one piece of land. That is polyculture, that is crop diversification. So that even if one crop is affected by maybe drought, the rest will not be affected. You'll have another backup land.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we have crop rotation, changing the crops grown in a particular field from season to season to break pest cycle and maintain soil health. We've talked about crop rotation
so many times.
Every time we talk about crop rotation, like I know even you guys are still you have mastered everything about crop rotation by now.
Crop rotation and soil testing. I think by now all our viewers know what it is, because we've talked about crop rotation a lot, we've talked about soil testing a lot, and it's not like this is now the end. We'll still be talking about those things.
Yeah, so through practicing crop rotation, of which I've always encouraged farmers outside there to practice, you're able to break this pest cycle. This is whereby when I plant wheat in my farm and then I plant beans, and then when I interchange them, the pests that are affecting wheat won't be able to affect beans, because first of all beans are another variety, so they won't have that courage of affecting beans, so instead they will die. The cycles will break immediately, and the ones that are affecting beans won't affect wheat. So through crop rotation you are breaking the cycle, the insect cycle, the pesticide cycles, and also you are able to conserve your crops from attack by pests and diseases, because in one particular field there will be a certain disease that is like emerging from there, but the moment you change your crops, that disease will die immediately.
Actually, I think the only pest that is so strong that can get into your farm even if you practice crop rotation is an elephant.
An elephant, that is something that has troubled a lot of people outside and inside Kenya. Like elephants are very severe animals. They are animals that are not scared by anything, not even by human beings, not by aeroplanes. Like they are really big-headed.
Yeah.
But in everything we have a solution. We have a solution. But if you are in an area, let me just give you a tip, because maybe there is someone who doesn't have this knowledge of how to control these elephants, especially in my area. Elephants attack farms because people have destroyed the forest. They have invaded the elephant space.
They cut down the trees and they don't plant.
Yeah, they have invaded the elephant space. So the elephants are very hungry, and when they find that their space has been invaded, they come towards our farm. So they destroy everything in the farm. But there's always a solution. There is Garden elephant repellent. This repellent is able to keep elephants away from your farms, because it's just a sticker. It is something that is not affecting your elephants negatively. It is both eco-friendly, it's environmental friendly, and also it is friendly for the elephants, because it is not affecting them in a bad way. It is just repelling them.
It's chasing them away.
Yeah.
So I will still encourage you to get Garden, right? Okay. Let's move to insurance and financial instruments, because when I talk about farming, we still have to talk about also the insurance and also the financial instruments. It's not something new. We already talked about it, that even the plants have insurance, even animals, the same way human beings have insurance, plants and animals also, and even a piece of land has an insurance. So under insurance and financial instruments, we have weather indexed insurance, and we also have microfinance. So Let's talk about the weather indexed insurance. So it provides payouts to farmers when specific weather parameters like rainfall deviate from the average, helping farmers recover from crop losses. So this is whereby maybe there were floods and then maybe your crops were swept away. That is only if you have an insurance. That's why we always encourage you that ensure your land has an insurance.
Yeah.
So.
And to add on that, you can also use improved forecasting, whereby to add on the weather part, whereby you're utilizing advanced weather forecasting tools to help you to anticipate extreme weather. If it is raining, you'll be able to know if it is going to rain, if it is not going to rain. So through that, you'll be able to control your farming activities.
But then again, when you talk about an insurance, when the floods come after you've planted, maybe you were not expecting, and then the floods sweep away your crops, and you had an insurance. That land had an insurance. Now your crops were insured. There's a way that they can pay you back.
Yeah, I was just I was covering the topic of insurance. I think I covered it alone, and I was telling farmers that it is very good for you to take an insurance cover, because what is included in that insurance cover is what you will get. For example, if you are taking insurance that is specifically to cover your pests and diseases, because there are other insurance that specify.
Yes.
Like when your crops are affected by floods, they won't be able to insure you. If they are affected by pests and diseases, they will insure you. So there are different types of insurances. There are insurance against floods, against droughts, against pests and diseases. But let me tell you, if you are in an area where it is prone to drought, it is always good to be on the safe side. There is a safe net, that is insurance, that covers you against drought. So when drought happens and all your crops are destroyed, you will be covered. Even if the drought happens and your crops have survived, you will still be covered. That is an importance of insurance, you see. Yeah.
We also have microfinance. This is just basically offering small loans to farmers to help them maybe when it comes to buying the seedlings, tilling the land, because maybe the farmer might be having a very big portion of land that needs laborers. So when he or she takes a small loan under the microfinance, it will be so easy for him or her to handle such situations.
Yeah, because the moment you have money, you have enough money. Nothing will make you disappear or make you fail because you have enough money. So this money, you're going to use it to buy other stuff, maybe equipment or technology that are recent, for example drones. If you buy drone, then you'll be able to use it towards your advantage.
Yes.
Guys, it's been a good session, but again, we have talked so much. We have told you a lot, and we also need you to take a short break as we take a short break. Again, this is a Farmers Media where we connect, learn, and grow. We'll take a short break and then we will be back. Welcome back, our dear viewers. Welcome to our Farmers Media, where we connect, learn, and grow. We are still live on Facebook at Farmers Media, on YouTube at Farmers Media, and make sure you click on our website at www.farmersmedia.com. And make sure also you follow us on our Twitter at Farmers with a Z. Guys, we are talking about climate resilient crop and the adaptations. We have talked a lot about it, and we are still continuing educating you about these things. And if you feel that you are not getting any a certain point, then make sure that you are going on a comment section, comment, tell us, ask us any other questions that you feel that you should ask. And if you haven't covered any concept about climate resilient crops, then be free to tell us on the comment section. So we are going to seed development and storage. Developing and storing seeds that are most resistant to pests and diseases and extreme weather events. So you can also take store seeds that are resistant to these kind of things, so that in the future, when these happenings happens, maybe there is an outbreak of diseases and pests, there is an outbreak of drought, you'll be able to plant these seeds. And then there is establishing community seed banks to preserve biodiversity and ensure access to a variety of seeds. You can also establish community seed banks whereby you'll be able to store these seeds that will be used in your future, that will be used when you need when it is planting season.
Actually, I was saying that having seed banks in your community is so important, because you're not the only one who will be having those types of seeds. You can so many farmers can come and get them from now that particular place. Yeah, so it's so important to have seed banks, especially for these specific types of crops that can survive under harsh climatic conditions.
Yeah, that will also be another safety net, because you have something that will help you even if during these tough times.
Yes, we have integrated pest management, that is IPM. So it's just using a combination of biological, cultural, physical, and chemical methods to manage pests rather than relying solely on pesticides. So there are traditional ways. Let me start with the cultural ways of managing pests. There are different ways of managing pests. Maybe in your village you'll hear that we take ash, then you sprinkle on maybe the skumawiki leaves. That way the pests will die after some time. Then later on, now you can water them, or even it can rain, because now after putting the ash actually on the skumawiki, there's no way you're going to eat that skumawiki, because it has ash. You have to give it time.
Yeah, you can also handpick pests using certain specimen. That is another type of cultural.
I was about to ask you, handpicking pests using my hand. There are pests that looks terrible.
Like, you can handpick using certain specimens, like a pair of forceps. In biology, we are taught about how to pick insects using a pair of forceps.
Yes, and also there in my place, when we plant skumawiki and then they are attacked by pests, and we don't spread pesticides on them, we don't spray the skumawiki, we just take the skumawiki. Then now when you want to cut them, you first of all unakam mtu anachagua mahindi, you first of all remove the pests one by one until the skumawiki. It's always so much work. But you normally do that.
Yeah, but if you have a small garden, then that is well and good. You can tell me that you have 8 acres of land in your
and you'll be picking.
That will be doing nothing. Like, it is like you're wasting your time.
I know. So there are cultural ways, there are physical ways, that is just handpicking. Maybe handpicking with your hands is also a physical way. And chemical methods, there are chemicals that you can use maybe to spray on your crops so that the pests can die, or maybe the pests do not attack maybe the crops now. Yeah.
So again, we have infrastructure development, building infrastructure such as greenhouses, shed houses, and cold storage facilities to extend the growing season and preserve produce. So that is another crucial step. This is whereby you are building these types of greenhouses or other things that are able to prevent droughts, that are able to prevent floods, that are able to give you something when there is maybe there is a lot of drought.
Like for example, when you build a shade house, even if definitely when there's drought, there's so much sun, it's so hot. So when you build something like a shade house, you'll get a place maybe to rest. Even your animals can get a place to rest. So it's so easy for you. Hata kama hamna maji, you don't even have the water to drink. You have a cool place to relax in.
Yeah, and also you can build these cold storage facilities because most of the people ignore the fact that during sunny periods, they tend to store their maize in a place where it is very hot. They haven't provided any cold facilities, and this can happen during sunny periods, and the maize are not drying well. So when you store them there, they will develop mold. So it is very good for you to ensure that there is infrastructure development during your harvesting period.
Yeah, we also have capacity building and training. So this is just providing farmers with training on climate smart agricultural practices, and also building local and community based knowledge sharing platforms. So this is basically where you can build maybe a local community based knowledge sharing platform. Maybe on our social media pages, maybe you can log in, maybe you can sign in an account that can be educating farmers about something. Maybe you just open an account, then you sign in, have a name, the way we have for the African Farmers Club. You have a name, then you'll be educating people about the pests and diseases in different crops, how they can manage, how can they can handle the pests, the pesticides to be used. Yeah, so that is just basically capacity building and training, because at the end of the day, you're training farmers, you're training your community, you're training other people concerning different things when it comes to farming.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a physical location, because you can also train them online using online platforms, because people nowadays are very active on social media, including farmers, and through that you can be able to invite them, create awareness that there is this program going on, and I'm training farmers on these activities, and through that you are able to educate farmers worldwide. Then we have policy and institutional support. Governments and institutions playing a role in supporting research, providing subsidies for adaptive technologies, and creating favorable policies. So as climate change continues to impact global agricultural systems, adaptation strategies need to be flexible, region specific, and regularly updated based on emerging knowledge and technology. So collaborative efforts is involving farmers, scientists, policymakers, and NGOs are crucial for the effective implementation of these strategies. So it's also good for you to consider policy and institutional support. Governments can be able to provide you with the necessary support for you to continue with the farming activities. So you can also write a proposal, take them to the government agencies, that are practicing agriculture or that are here to support farmers. So when you take them, when you take them there, they'll be able to read your proposal, and who knows, maybe you'll be lucky enough to get a sponsorship or to get an education.
Yeah, I think today has been we've had a very interesting topic.
Yeah, very interesting topic, because now you understand what are these crop resilience activities that we need to implement. You have learned about different crops that can be used to resist certain conditions, certain climatic conditions. May it be sun, may it be what? May it
floods,
may it be
the pests.
Yeah, the pests, the drought. So again, in summary, you can use rice, certain varieties of rice to prevent, to resist floods. You can use maize, certain varieties of maize to resist droughts. You can also use sorghum and millet to resist drought. And if you want to resist also heat and salinity, there are other types, just like we mentioned earlier. Mary, is there anything else you would like to say before we end the show? Okay,
today I'm just excited that I've been a co-host. At least I have a feeling of how being a co-host is. It's so relaxing. There is no stress. There is no stress. I'm so happy about today's show. It's been an interesting topic. I'm so happy to be back to the mid-morning show. I've started on a good note. I hope that the week will run smoothly. I wish you can be on that seat every day. But we'll organize once in a while. We shift. Kila mtu akuwe na feeling ya kukua host na kukua co-host, and how it is normally. At least now we have a feeling, all of us, of hosting a show alone, because I've been doing the breakfast show alone and you've been doing the mid-morning alone. Yeah. So we all have that feeling. But anyway, my last word is so simple. I'm not encouraging anybody to be bad, but this is what I can tell you. No matter how bad you are, nobody is useless actually. So I'm not encouraging anybody to be bad, but nobody is useless. So no matter how bad you are not useless. You can still be used as a bad example. That is all I can tell you.
That's inspiring.
You can still be used as a bad example. Don't feel that you're useless as a bad person, but I don't encourage you to be a bad person. But that is how it is. No matter how bad you are, you're not useless. You can still be used as a bad example at the end of the day. Yeah. That is my final word. But don't be bad. Don't say that Mary told you to be bad. I don't encourage anyone to be bad. Let's all try to be good. So that is all I have.
Oh, thank you, Mary. Thank you. Anyway, guys, that's been an amazing session. We have learned a lot, both as a host and as my co-host.
Yes.
We have learned a lot from this session about crop resilient crops, and I hope that you, as a viewer outside there and also as a farmer, you have also gotten something out of this session. So first of all, I would like to thank our director Dottie and my producer Mary. Dottie, thank you so much for directing this show. It was an amazing show, and thank you. And to our viewers, thank you so much for your continuous support. Thank you so much for continuing watching this show and also contributing in various ways. I say thank you again and welcome to our Farmers Media, where we connect, learn, and grow. And before I end the session, we always have a proverb, but today we have rather than analogy of what the session was about. And the last one, the analogy is: weather is a mode, climate is a personality. Again, weather is a mode, climate is a personality. What do we say? Why do you say it like this? You know, a weather, when you say weather is a mode, it is just like the way a human being mode changes. Like today.
Oh, weather is a mood.
Yeah.
Climate is a
personality.
Okay.
Like for a weather to change, there must be certain thing that has triggered it.
Yeah.
So you must see the clouds for you to know that it is going to rain.
So it has changed moods.
Yeah. So weather can change anytime. Like today it's happy, and then it is raining suddenly.
Yeah.
Then it is sad. There is much sun. Like just like a person is.
Yeah.
Today I'm happy. The next minute I'm angry. The next minute I'm overexcited. So that is just like the weather. So weather is a mode. And the climate is a personality. Climate is the personality of a person. I know that, let's take an example, you are an introvert. That is your personality.
Yes.
It will never change. So that is like a climate. A climate is a personality. Before it changes, it takes decades. It takes time before a climate changes. So yeah, weather is a mode, climate is a personality. It has been a great journey.
Actually, before you close, let me just thank Kakawekesa. I can see he has commented a good one. Ladies, thank you so much, Kakawekesa. Thank you for watching.
Kudos, thank you. So guys, it has been a great lesson. Thank you, Kakawekesa, once more, and our viewers who have not commented and have that how can I say, they have learned something maybe from us now. Yeah. And if you have that motivation of still wanting to comment, you can still comment even if you are offline. Thank you again. I've been your host, Regina Ayanai.
And I've been Mary Oswero. Enjoy the rest of your day.